everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. This week's vlog is super exciting, as you can probably tell, very professional filming going on today. And that is because I have met up with an incredible runner, but also an incredible canicrosser to talk about Canicross. And before we get going, I just want to read you out some of his PBs so you know how serious this guy is. Here are his PBs, and I'm reading them out because they seem almost unbelievable, but let me tell you how quick this guy is. So his PBs are 1 kilometer, 2:04. 5 kilometers, 12:09. And to give you some context for that 5K time, Joshua Cheptegei is about half a minute slower than that. The 10K is 27:41. So I'm going to be talking to Ben Robinson today about all things Canicross. He's going to be answering your guys' questions that you sent in, and then we're going to head out for a beautiful run in Lee Woods. Let's get going. Hey, thank you so much for joining us here. It's great to have you here. For the benefit of people who might not have heard of you, can you introduce yourself?
Of course. Yeah, so my name is Ben Robinson and I'm the 8-time British, 4-time European and 3-time world champion in Canicross.
That's a pretty great intro. I wish I could say that. So for anyone who's not heard of Canicross, can you explain a little bit what it is and what sort of dogs might be suitable for it?
Yeah, of course. So Canicross is in effect just running with your dog. Specifically, it's running attached to your dog via a line, but that can still take the form of just running alongside you recreationally or at a low level, right through to how I do the sport, which obviously is a competitive sport where the dog will be encouraged to pull you and actually assist and speed up your running. So any breed of dog can do it, as I've sort of touched on there, from your basic beginner or pet dogs through to what we have, which are purpose-bred dogs that are ready for the sport at a higher level. Nice.
So from a dog nerd point of view, I really want to know about your type of dog. What are the purpose-bred sports dogs?
So my dogs are termed European sled dog, or some people within the sport will call them greysters or European hounds. That gets all a little bit technical between the breeders of the exact breed mix. But fundamentally they're a pointer, greyhound and Alaskan husky cross, which all the breeds were picked for their individual traits and strengths. So you've sort of got the pointer for their head and the strength and size of the dog. The greyhound was to add speed. And the Alaskan again for kind of drive and distance and an ability to cool down as well.
Amazing. So if someone's looking to get started with whatever dog they have, anything as small as a Chihuahua to your greysters, what would you recommend? Like, how do people get started?
Yeah, so the best way to get started, I'd say, is just increase what you do with your dog. So you could start from increasing walks with your dog, general activity with your dog. Obviously, some people will jog a little bit or even swim with the dog. You can take your dog along just free running with you. So if you run and if it's safe to do so and your dog's good recall, good off lead, you can do more of that. And then you can start, so I actually helped put together with Non-Stop Couch to 5K program. So you may have seen them in, running themselves, but we've done one specific to Canicross that you can do with your dog. And then you can build up from point of just being walking with your dog all the way through to running your first 5K together.
Amazing. So, okay, so that's great. So the dog's fit now. When you're looking at things like commands, what sort of commands have you taught your dogs? What do you think is important for other people to know?
Yeah, so obviously go. To start, a lot of people will start with a line out. I've had mixed success with that. Some of my dogs will do it, some won't.
What does a line out mean, sorry?
This will be at the start. So people, when you're waiting to start, so particularly if you're going to go on to do events, you can teach the dog to effectively stay. So some people will use the word line out, so go to the end of the line, stand and wait. I didn't personally have a great deal of success with that with some of my dogs, so some will do it. Some won't, but if that is an important factor for you, then obviously giving time to that element of training is important. Of course, then the go for them to start the run. Left and right when you're on the trail, as that will be much easier for you to be able to call that rather than getting to the turn and then having to sort of pull the dog. Can be very awkward and not necessarily the best thing for the dog as well. So if they'll take that left and right. And I'll start teaching that just on walks. So literally as I walk, even from a puppy, this is a good thing. You can start the training with a younger dog or an unfit dog if you're not quite at the stage of running. You can do that left, left, left when you get to a left turn, and then a slight pull left, right, 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 and pull right, and so on. And they'll learn that quite quickly. That's most of the commands. Some people use like an on by, which is kind of like a, you know, just go past, and again then keep right, keep left. I'll say to my dog, so if I'm coming up on somebody and I pick the side I'm going to overtake on, then it will be keep right, keep left, and then I'll say that to him a couple of times just to reinforce that as we go by. And
for anyone doing some hilly trails, so what Ben here does is a lot more of the like super fast, like go, 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 you're sprinting the whole way, 5Ks, 10Ks?
Yeah, mostly 5K in the racing. I've ran some 10K trail with the dog, but the majority of the Canicross races are up to about 5K.
Okay, so it's really like super duper fast. What I do a little bit more of is like the longer stuff, a lot more ploddy, a little trotting along, nothing too crazy. But we do a lot of hills, and one command that we have found super useful is the behind command. So when you're going down a hill, your dog is not pulling you headfirst down the hill, you actually get them to go behind you and run right behind you so that they're not going to make you fall over. So what Ben here does, he goes headfirst down the hills and he goes very fast, and I think it looks terrifying. What I do is I kind of get Tia to go behind me so that she doesn't kill me.
Yeah, so I'll use a steady to attempt to do the same sort of thing, but as you said, they won't, you know, it's not something I prioritize. As generally I try and make up some time on the downhill as well in the races. You kind of for 5K sprint can't afford to do it, but yeah, absolutely, as you said, you could use it behind if you really wanted to enforce that. And if I did do it, I'd teach it in the same way on the walk. You know, you can do that, and if you need to walk that hill, and you can obviously reinforce or reward it while they're learning. But
that's what I love about this as well, is that there's so much that you can do when they're still a puppy. So from what I understand, you shouldn't really start running a dog until they're minimum a year old. I think for bigger dogs, 18 months is kind of more the time when you start building up their fitness a little bit more and getting them to pull, because I think the pulling puts a lot more pressure on their like musculoskeletal system. But you can start training the commands really early on, and what we did with Tia, again, like with the lefts and rights, so you don't get wrapped around a tree, but also with the behind, what I would do is I would get a treat and I would put it behind me, and Tia would move to behind me and basically just trot along, which has meant that because we were just doing that a walk when she was calm, now when we get really excited and she's on a run and just really wanting to go, 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 she at least does have a kind of switch to say, okay, no more pulling anymore because Flora might fall over. So let's just go behind and calm down. And starting it from a younger age, I think, has been really beneficial.
Yep.
And like probably most people who want to start running with their dog, or who actually get a dog to be able to run with, want to be able to do it from as early as possible. But it doesn't mean that you can't do anything before the age of 1, because you can still do all that training.
Yeah, exactly that. That's what we do with our young dogs. So we'll start doing those things, as I say, literally on walks. You can still be on the trails that you're going to run in time, and just start reinforcing that early training, and it makes everything so much easier. When it does then come to building the running with them, you can just build that physical element of their training in quickly.
Nice. So I got asked a lot about how do you teach the dog the difference between walking to heel on a normal walk and pulling Canicross style. So I'd love to hear your answer. I have my own answers for this, but I mean, your dogs are bred to do Canicross specifically. So do you actually bother trying to teach them a loose lead heel, or do you just kind of, they have a go setting and that's it?
No, again, I don't hugely, because a little bit like the same way with the downhill, I actually use their walks, the time I spend with the dogs, I'm still using that as training. So I kind of view their walks as like their strength work, if you like we maybe would do resistance work. I view their walk as kind of like their max strength, their free running as kind of their max speed, and then obviously the harness work is kind of where we bring the two together and we put that power out really with them. But they still do recognize a difference. I mean, they'll still know. I mean, if I walk them on the course of a race, of a trail, it is like, you know, arch back, like really trying to go for it. If I walk them around the estate at home, they'll pull, but it's more of a controlled pull, you know, rather than trying to break into a run, if you like. They'll still see the difference, and that's probably kit. You know, once they're really in tune with running, they'll notice the difference of kit, the harness, if they're wearing the harness, you know, those things they pick up on.
Okay, so we'll talk about kit in 1 second, because that's probably one of the most important things. But just very quickly, what I tend to do in terms of teaching the difference between a loose lead heel walk and Canicross, and this is something that we really struggled with, because when we first got Tia, she's a rescue dog, we got her age 5 months, she obviously did not know what heel walking was, so we spent months and months teaching her to do a loose lead heel. And then we put her in the Canicross harness, and then we were like, pull, and she was like, I thought I was supposed to walk to your heel, and I was like, no, pull. And it took her a long time to figure out the difference between a loose lead walk and pulling on the harness, but now she knows that once she's in that Canicross harness, that's pull setting, and when she's in her other harness with it attached at the front on her chest, that's a heel. And then she has commands for both as well, to reinforce that. So it's very possible, and the dogs do know the difference between the equipment that they have as well, and the difference between a road walk, for example, and a trail run where they might be pulling for the entire way. So to talk about kit, can you explain what sort of kit someone should be using if they're just getting started with Canicross?
Yeah, so the kit's really simple. It's really 3-part, and it's just to connect us to the dog. So the first part will be a belt, so a waist belt for us, which will obviously literally go around the waist, and that's on us. Then it's a line, so a bungee line. Standard length is about 2 meters for most Canicross races, but if you are doing it recreationally or on sort of technical trails, and you can get shorter lines if you want kind of closer control of the dog when you're out on trails or if they're busy, and so on. And then it's a harness for the dog. Most people run dogs in like a full length harness, and then the bungee can literally connect the two so that you are one with the dog. So non-stop offer all that kit. We use all non-stop kit free from the Canix belt, the bungee line, and the free motion harness would be our go-to. And they also offer that within a starter pack, so a Canicross starter pack.
Yeah, so we got the starter set when we first started out, and it made such a big difference because Tia can pull so much more when she's in the free motion harness versus when she's in her normal everyday dog walking harness. And I think people don't really realize how important it is to have the right kit. We spend so much time thinking about our own kit. I think it's only fair that we also remember that the dogs also need to remain injury free, and if they're doing this much running for us and with us, then we need to invest in their kit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly the same for the dog as is for us. So we have to consider those things to keep the dog kind of fit, healthy and injury free. But even just getting extra power from the dog. So when you're running them as well, having the right kit will allow them to transit more of their power through that line and that connection to us. And one of the biggest mistakes we see in the wrong harness is being bought. People will think they've got a running harness, but if it comes across the front of the dog's chest, we can restrict a lot of the shoulder movement. And again, then that's both of those things, you restrict power and you risk injury. So
okay, so let's get on to training. How far do you and your dogs run each week?
So it'll vary massively, particularly for the dogs, depending on the time of the season. They'll be free running all year. Where I can, early mornings if it's warmer, of course, but all through the year. But I don't massively track the dog's distance. Free running, they're just out for the hour or two and they're just playing. They will run a lot because obviously they're driven, and being a group together, they're obviously chasing each other, racing around the field together. Sometimes I'll run a few miles with them there, but it's not something I hugely track. Then obviously they'll walk a little bit. So as I said earlier, I use some of their walks as strength training. So they'll do obviously less distance, but kind of intense that way. And then in terms of like our harness work, we're probably trying to get 2 to 3 sessions in a week. Certainly during sort of season or approaching the races, we look 2 to 3, even up to sort of 4 maximum. And that will be about race distance. So they're not doing high mileage. It's not crazy distances, 3 to 4 times 5k would be the absolute max in harness that my guys would do. Shorter in the summer, obviously. For my own running, I train mainly as like a middle distance kind of guy on track in the summer, and then up to kind of 5-10k and cross country in the winter. So I'm probably averaging about 60 miles a week.
Amazing. Well, that's pretty good. That's quite a lot. And in terms of terrain that you run on and that the dogs run on, what is suitable for a dog?
Yeah, so my own I'll do across all terrain, so I will do road, track and cross country work, but with the dogs obviously we're primarily running on trail, so softer surfaces, grass or woodland trail.
And why is that?
Better for their paws, better for joints. Even for us, I prefer to do a lot of my work off-road. So if it's not specific to like kind of track or road sessions, I'll just get off-road. I just like the softer surfaces. And obviously for the dogs, it's also just a better environment. I mean, it is a better surface, but more fun, more defined trail, and they just like being you know, in that environment rather than kind of running on the roadside.
So for us, because we do a little bit of longer stuff, we tend to run undercover like we're going to be doing today, in the woods, somewhere a little bit shady. Also running really early in the morning as it gets hotter like it is today. I think this is like the warmest day of the year, but it's still relatively early. I'm freezing personally, so I think it'll be good for the dogs. Or we'll go places that have rivers, lakes, places where the dogs can kind of paddle, cool down, and have a drink as well. So speaking of temperature, how hot is too hot for running with a dog?
Yeah, it's a really difficult question to answer because I find it's a really individual thing to consider. So you've got to think about the breed, any of their individual kind of characteristics, how fit they are, and especially how acclimatized they are to heat. So I wouldn't like to necessarily put a temperature on it. For me and my dogs, I just watch them individually and I make sure well ahead of time, you know, we've done some work at that time of year or at those temperatures. But I would say the other big thing to consider is humidity. So with dogs, humidity is a big factor. So a dry heat and a very humid heat, you know, humid heat will be a lot worse for a dog. So just taking those things into consideration as well.
So final couple of questions from my followers and subscribers. Thanks guys also for sending them in. This is great. I hope I'm answering all of your questions, or not me actually, Ben is answering all your questions. In terms of maybe slightly more reactive dog, or a dog that is really interested, super friendly in saying hi to other dogs, how do you get your dog to just be super focused on the trails, not zigzagging all over the place, wanting to say hi to dogs or chasing squirrels?
Okay, so the best thing to do really to answer in a way all of those issues is probably training around other experienced dogs. So, you know, they will pick up on the drive from an experienced dog, and also if they're very good at ignoring, you know, if you've got a dog that you know is really solid, it's not going to react back, is not going to mind a little bit of attention, and that's an important fact, you know, knowing that that person you're training with is happy that your dog is inexperienced, so you don't alter, you know, their run or affect their run, but they should then pick up on that. They should learn there's, you know, nothing happens when I go across to this dog, it's not worth doing, I might as well just get on with running next to them, racing them and so on. And in time they may even lose that kind of drive to go after wildlife. It might always be there a little bit, but I find certainly with my guys, you know, the more driven they are, even if they'll have that little reaction, you can call them back on to running hard very, very quickly. It's not like they're going to go looking for the squirrel and where it's gone. It might be they have a glance and then you can call them on and you're just back to running. So I think get around other driven dogs and just more of the same, just more training, more experience, and most of those things should come good. Amazing.
So yeah, we found a pretty similar thing. So we've been running with Tia for about a year now, proper Canicross, and what we found helped massively, because when she first started, she wasn't that interested in running when she was on the lead, super interested in running when she was off the lead because she could go and hunt things, but she is a really prey driven dog, and she's also not always that friendly towards other dogs. But as soon as we were in a group of other dogs who are running around a trail, she was really focused on keeping up with them. In fact, she wanted to overtake all of them and run at the front always, and that has driven her to be a lot better at Canicross, because now when we go past dogs, she's on a mission. She just ignores them and she goes straight past, which is so much better than she used to be. And it does take time. I think people forget that, you know, these are different habits for a dog to build, and it takes time to build them. And once they get it, then they get it, and it makes such a big difference. And when we go past squirrels or the smell of deer or sheep now, Tia tends to just pull harder forwards rather than zigzagging around. She gets excited, but she just diverts that to just going forwards rather than sideways, which is great.
Yeah, I think it's the number one thing. You know, for me, the hardest dog to train was the first dog. You know, and then each time the next ones come, you know, they've been able to pick up strengths from the previous dog, and then you can do more training with them, reinforce, you know, and try to make improvements around how they run and how driven they are. But the first dog, I did a lot to travel around, to go to people with groups and go to other people with dogs that were experienced in the sport and keep working with them. And really now my guys can train each other.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. We're going to head out on a little run now around Lee Woods, where we are at the moment. This is my usual dog running spot. I absolutely love it. It is just beautiful. So I guess without further ado, let's get going. Someone asked how you know a dog's excited. Here are two examples. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Woo! Okay, woo! This is so fast! This is very fast! A bit faster than my usual slow. Trotting. Tira's not used to going this fast. She's just trying to pretend to be as good as a purpose-bred Canicross dog. Good girl, baby. Okay, we're trotting. Onwards. Look at you trying to slow your dog down. Try and speak over my... trying to breathe at the same time. So do you ever run with your dogs at a trot? Or do you keep them at a gallop?
Most of the stuff will be in a gallop. We don't need to sort of do this, you know, if necessary with others or to pass safely and stuff. It would mainly be at a gallop.
Yeah.
Or even fast.
Nice. Tia's already trotting, having a good time. It is warm today, so just going to do a short one. Now let me tell you, this running is not compatible with my low heart rate training, but it is a lot more fun. Below us we have the Avon River Path, and then over the river we've got the Portway and then Avon Gorge all down there in that direction.
With the dogs, it's got to be winter. I think we can just do so much more with them, so we don't have to worry about distance or anything. The conditions actually for them are generally better as well, like softer ground.
Yeah.
So I can just run with them without the worry. So yeah, I love that for.
And what about by yourself?
I'd probably switch it up and say summer because I can then forget about all the same worries of getting wet and getting muddy, and I can just enjoy some time, you know, on the road, on the track.
And it's nice because you get fun all times of year. It's lovely because in winter sometimes it's hard to motivate yourself out, but when you've got a dog, you know, they always want to go out. Come on then, onwards. So you don't have to have a bad time of year. They say winter miles make for summer smiles.
Yeah, exactly. There's always something to look forward to, so just use one season to prep and have a change and prep for the next, and we just keep rolling through. So.
Oh, I love that. Good positive attitude. So I haven't actually asked you this yet. I know the answer, but for the benefit of my subscribers, how many dogs do you have?
So I have 7 dogs, and then my dad has 2 that live with my mum and dad. So we have 9 in total. Wow,
that's a lot of dogs. Tia's enough work as is. Onwards, onwards. Good girl, yes. Poor Tia has never run this fast in her life for more than 1 kilometre. Usually after a deer. We'll stop them here and get some water. Or Tia might have some water. Woo, water break. Warm day today, so making sure to stop plenty. Nice little place. How are you feeling?
Good.
It's a bit short and slow for you, I reckon.
Right.
3.84k. Just going to do a little loop down here before heading back. I reckon I am like tomato coloured to match my top. It's all part of the matchy-matchy. I am attaching myself to a proper Canicross dog. Okay, are we ready? Off we go. Oh God, oh God. Tia, you're going the wrong way. Ah! Oh, she's so good. She's a lot smoother than Tia is because she's bigger. Woo! Ah! Oh, this is fun. This is great. Go on then, T. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Yes. Oh, this is fun. Sprint, sprint, sprint. Okay, ooh, ooh, yes. Baby, thank you. Wow, so see what a real Canicross dog does. Steady pulling, pretty strong. How heavy did you say she was?
She's probably about 27 kilos.
27, so for reference, Tia's chonky, but only about 22, which is perfect for me because I'm obviously small, but get a bit more power with this. No offense, T, you're great too. Love you, baby. Final hill up. It's always a killer. Goes on forever, I swear. Whew. Dog's still having fun though. Woo! 5.8k done. Well, I for one am sweltering. Definitely wasn't low heart rate training, that is for sure. But it was great fun. Dogs loved it. Oh Tia, who is it? Is it Roxy? Oh, look at that. Good girl, baby.
She's like smiling.
I know. She's so happy after a run. Look at that face. Oh, baby. Hey, well done, Zoe. Well done, T. Very good all round. So I'm back home, which means that is it for this week's vlog. I had so much fun out there. I am definitely not nearly as fit as Ben is, which was evident in the pace that he was trying to go with his very impressive dog and the pace that Tia and I usually plod along at a very casual trot. But we had so much fun, and Ben is such a lovely guy, and I really appreciate him coming all the way down to Bristol to come and tell us, you guys and me, all about Canicross and how more people can get into running with their dog, because I have to say, like, I did not expect it to be as rewarding as it has been. Just the situation of like being with a member of your family, but a member of your family who is always excited to go for a run and will just take you out no matter what. And that is just so lovely to have. And this last week has been so much easier fitting in the mileage that I need to fit in because I've been running with the dog so much. And that's really lovely. I mean, 4 out of my 7 runs or something, 6 runs or whatever it was of the week have been with the dog. And those miles feel like free miles. They don't actually feel like I'm training that hard. Of course, they still count when it comes to training, so that's a win-win. I don't feel psychologically exhausted from doing all of that, and physically I'm still getting all the benefits of that sort of training. So it's really nice, it's lovely to do, and it also means I don't have to double up with the running, coming back, then going out for a dog walk, and then coming back home again and being completely knackered, as I have been basically up to the point that I started running regularly with Tia. There was one more question that some of you guys asked, which was about feeding. I think it's suggested that you don't feed right before a run, and that you can go out, if you're going out for an early morning run, you can go out without feeding your dog and then feed them a little bit after getting back home again. And that's what I do with Tia every Saturday. Sometimes I'll throw her a handful of kibble in the morning when I get up and I'm having my breakfast and stuff. And then by the time we get there, it'll be like 45 minutes later and she can run. And she gets treats around the run as well, because I think it's only fair. I feed myself, I feed her. But basically there are lots of issues with twisted stomachs, especially with bigger dogs. If you feed them shortly before or shortly after, I think as well, you go out running. So it's really important to have a read up of that and figure out what works for you and your dog. If you think about wolves in the wild, they would run to be able to eat. They wouldn't eat and then go for a run. That is the hunting part of how they get food. They hunt and then they eat. So it's not going to be difficult for them to go out for a run. It's not like some people who literally can't go for a run without eating first, like me. So yeah, don't feel like you're being really mean to them. It's much, much, much safer to not feed them right before going for a run and instead feed them afterwards. So that's what we do, and it's been working really well up to this point. She never seems tired or hungry on, well, she kind of always seems hungry, but she never seems tired on a run because of lack of food, which is great. For any of you that have got to this point in the vlog, I have some exciting news. So 2 of you can win a non-stop dogwear Canicross starter kit. That is the free motion harness, the bungee lead, and the Canicross belt from Non-Stop Dogwear. All you have to do is like this video, subscribe, and comment down below who your running buddy is. And any more information about the dog, I am a-okay with. I just absolutely love dogs. So yeah, just tell me about your pet and whether you already run with them, whether you're planning on going out running with them, and of course any questions that you might have I will try and answer as well. And within the next couple of weeks I will choose 2 lucky winners and be sending out those kits directly to you guys. I believe that this is open worldwide, so get commenting down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well, and feel free to send this to your friends as well so that they can be in with a chance of winning. Thanks again to Nonstop Dogwear for this video and for connecting us up with Ben Robinson. He was such a delight and a great guy to go and run with. I will be getting fitter before I ever run with him again, but I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and the subscribe button. I'll be back next week with some very, very fun videos coming right your way. Thanks again for watching. Bye!